False news has become all too common on social media. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Are you awake? Are you really awake? What if I were to tell you that your reality has been hacked? That there's a perceived reality and then there's an actual reality. That there's a group of people operating through the perceived reality to affect actual reality.
Reality is impacted by your observation of it. But the reality is there is no shared reality.
I have exclusive whistleblower information from military officers and actual spies. And boy, is it bombshell. But first, I need to introduce you to a concept there's a lot of misconception about.
We are being drawn inexorably into the era of the war of the invisible enemy.
I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy.
We need to consider not only what is conventionally seen as cyberspace, but also the information elements involved in hybrid warfare.
We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that.
And while estimates of the cost of cybercrime vary, it's thought that the annual global bill runs to somewhere between hundreds of billions and the low trillions of dollars.
By the end of this video series, you're going to understand just exactly what the president is up against, what's taking him so long to go after the deep state, and just how amazing the Trump administration really is. So let's go ahead and unmask espionage. The world has been telling you what a spy is, but it's incorrect.
Hi there, it's Emily Brandwin, CIA spy girl, and today I was on Home and Family.
They have been telling you who the spy agencies are, but that's only partially true. Disinformation spread through television, movies, and the media has conditioned the public to be completely blind to how the industry really works, so that they can operate right under your nose without you having any clue.
My name is Jonna Mendez, and I was chief of disguise at the CIA. This is a series of photographs of when I met George H.W. Bush in the Oval Office and revealed to him that I was briefing him wearing a mask.
Spies are perceived as normal people without any special skills, thereby disguising their wide range of talents, specialized education, and high IQ. They're called clowns for a reason. It just so happens that oftentimes women are the most underestimated players in the spy game.
With women, you have a broader range of what you can do. You also have one extra step. You could turn a woman into a man. What we do is always additive. We can make you taller, we can make you heavier, we can make you older.
They aren't sexy honeypots in cat suits, but rather they are secretaries, assistants, cleaning ladies, hotel managers, and more in kin with the cat ladies. They occupy positions least expected: students, lab techs, etc.
Hello, I'm Julia Child. Welcome to this volume of our video book, The Way to Cook.
Well, how do you get from public relations then to Wild Bill Donovan and the OSS?
Everybody that I knew was in the Army or the Navy or down in Washington. So that's where I went, and I got into the OSS.
But that doesn't mean men don't make good clowns either.
This is out of a movie.
This is a movie. This is a movie. As we were doing this report, of course, that was the farthest thing from our minds.
This question isn't about our enemies. It's about us.
The Report, rated R.
Look out for the bellhop, the shoe shiner, the donut shop baker, even the museum curator. They're everywhere, especially in IT.
Modern SIOP has evolved and adapted into cyberspace. Through creative and innovative technology, the SIOP mission is able to effectively counter our adversaries' advancements in unconventional information warfare tactics by shaping the information environment. Techniques used by SIOP forces include cyber warfare, military deception support, social media messaging.
Memes and GIFs pop up, get shared, and go viral with very little oversight.
Twitter and Facebook are the Wild West of, news gathering. The memes fall right into that. Memes are just another way of getting an opinion.
And it suggests that what they're doing is not so much hacktivism, i.e. hacking plus activism, but hacking reality.
Within the ranks, they don't call themselves spies. Rather, they call themselves reality hackers.
Because we are at an era in which innovation is immediately accessible. Any new idea can not only change the world, but reach the world.
Reality hackers change your perspective and nudge the narrative of any given situation, ever so slightly and not to be noticed. Well, unless you're looking with well-trained eyes.
There's an electronic billboard that is flashing a naked man.
They're inserted to alter the direction of destiny or perceived reality, hence the common time traveler's reference.
I was watching Doctor Who, and I asked myself, where can I go to school to learn how to be a Time Lord?
Have you ever noticed how Doctor Who travels through time in a police box? It's sort of a GCHQ inside joke.
Can you imagine a situation where a group of villains work together towards a common goal?
Notice how the TARDIS is larger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Explain to me how this TARDIS is larger on the inside than the out.
It's because insides and outsides are not in the same dimension. Which box is larger?
That one.
Now which is larger?
That one.
But it looks smaller.
Well, that's because it's further away.
Exactly. If you could keep that exactly that distance away and have it here, the large one would fit inside the small one.
The space that Doctor Who travels in is cyberspace.
I define cyberspace as being that layer of abstraction, that place where the distances, the locations become irrelevant to the user.
Doctor Who started in 1963. Guess what else started around the same time? The Intergalactic Computer Network, or Internet for short.
Specialized hardware facilities tend to be expensive but very efficient. On the other hand, if they can be distributed, then specialized hardware facilities can be very effective and can let us do things that we couldn't otherwise do.
Lick was thinking big about the future of networking at a time when there was only a handful of computers anywhere in the world, and decades before the personal computer would arrive.
On April 23, 1963, American psychologist Joseph Carl Licklider sent an electronic memo to fellow colleagues in Palo Alto, California. It was the first message transmitted over the Intergalactic Computer Network. Isn't a psychologist a doctor? Licklider's computer-to-computer memo outlined the early challenges presented in this form of communication, discussing the need for establishing a time-sharing network of computers with time-synced software.
Time-sharing, which consists of attaching a large number of consoles to the central computer.
Time travel, anyone? Where else have I heard the term doctor and who together?
For the past 65 years, the World Health Organization's global influenza surveillance and response system has been continuously monitoring which viruses are circulating and where.
We're able to analyze vast amounts of online data to essentially detect infectious disease outbreaks in ways that we weren't able to before. We also now can access data on billions of people and their movements across the planet.
Cloud mobile databases that would allow us to track thousands of people and do that efficiently. That information can be used to enable enhanced tracking.
In this new COVID-19 time warp we're all living in, for the president's enemies, any good news for America is actually bad news.
But I digress. Bell Telephone Company, which essentially set up an eavesdropping system for every household, business, office, etc., telephone system, needed an upgrade.
The telephone network has grown from a single pair of wires into a complex telecommunication system. It must be designed with both the past and future in mind.
Having databanks of electronic tape with recordings of everyone's conversations, whether they were on the phone or not, took up way too much space. So, electronic communications and data storage had to be created.
I see you have your computer linked to the telephone line. Can you tell us how you did that?
Yes, well, it's very simple, really. The telephone is connected to the telephone network. The computer is asking me if I want to log on, and it's now telling me to phone up the main press cell computer. It asks with a tone, and then I just flick a switch on the modem and replace the receiver. And it comes up with an opening screen.
The push-button phones laid the groundwork for fax machines, call switching, and everything we use today.
This would eventually become an electronic database of everyone's conversations, communications, messages, etc., that would be sent through, stored, and cached in a permanent database. Hence the ability to travel through time, well, at least figuratively speaking, through time-sharing computer-to-computer communications, which became the predecessor as a modernized way of eavesdropping.
The main reason they were going for the FISA warrant initially was to go back historically and seize all his emails and texts and all that stuff from back months and even years.
People with access to this database could travel back and forth, revisiting any form of communication anyone ever had. One way of creating shortcuts for counterterrorism, law enforcement, political intrigue, or blackmail was the use of keywords. That software programs using algorithms were designed to detect and elevate such communication for examination. Thus spoke Echelon.
It's called Echelon. It's so super secret that no one inside the government will acknowledge it even exists. Insiders will tell you off the record that Echelon is a synonym for an intelligence-sharing partnership, including Great Britain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the U.S., which is led by the U.S.'s National Security Agency, or the NSA. Together, they eavesdrop on every corner of the world, on phone calls, faxes and emails, even on ATM transfers.
NSA whistleblower William Binney helped develop tools to track communication methods, such as cell phones and email, to pull needles out of a haystack, as the data collection got better and better, but more complex to sift through.
How do you figure out what's important in that data to pull out so that your analysts can look at? Well, you have to know the public switch telephone network is organized, the numbering scheme for the worldwide plan, and know how to look at blocks of allocations of numbers and which ones work with other numbers, and basically building social networks. That's an analytic issue to target. And then you say, these are the groups of targets I want from that data. So then that becomes your priority list of targets.
Eventually, there would be a public rollout, or front-facing programs, aka social media networks, where the public foolishly and freely provide the largest source of data collection imaginable.
We filed for patents at the end of 2002 for technology which we received in 2006, which is basically what the market calls social networking now. We sued Facebook for patent infringement and won a verdict. Facebook is guilty on 11 of 11 counts of infringing that patent.
Unbeknownst to the developers of this technology, this wasn't just designed for counterterrorism, law enforcement, and the military to use on enemies, terrorists, and rogue nations.
While publicly we were told terrorists, enemies, communists, in practice it wasn't. It was all our friends and trading partners.
It was actually intended to be deployed on everyone, including U.S. citizens, giving these database time travelers the ability to create predictive program algorithms. The programs can spider through the sea of electronic data, enabling reality hackers the ability to read the future. Through probability statistics of who, what, when, where, and why, they can calculate if a target is going to get in the way of their global agenda. or who might actually be recruitable to help further their private security agenda. Oh, you thought the government controlled the spies? Ha! Reality hackers get recruited through the public agencies to then get assigned to work for private agencies as contractors with access to databases that technically are only supposed to be accessed by the government.
The other part is they brought in contractors from the outside, engineers and computer scientists and things like that, to solve what is fundamentally an analytic problem.
Hence, data bridges. But we'll get to that in another video. How else do you think they get around FOIA requests, compartmentalization, or violating their oaths to the Constitution? They've outsourced everything to get around due process. But that is a subject for a later report. This isn't to say that this new form of spying made field operators, agents, and contractors obsolete. You still need boots on the ground. For instance, ClearForce, ShadowNet, and Interactive Internet Activities, or IIA, are great tools but require some human intelligence to successfully hack elections, run PSYOPs, and collect blackmail.
Here in the Virginia area, suburban Virginia area, just outside of Washington, the company was called the Analysis Corporation. This parent entity was a security company, and they were doing security services for the U.S. military in Baghdad and throughout Iraq. But at the same time, they had an office in Beijing, and they were approaching the Chinese government-owned companies.
Since 9/11, there has been tremendous progress here in the United States as well as internationally, as far as putting together that architecture that is required to be able to share and access information.
John Brennan left government and went to work for a small intelligence contractor.
Different information technology systems, we have different authorities, we have different responsibilities as far as handling different types of information, to include on U.S. persons, U.S. citizens.
An interesting mix of global intelligence. One former employee of the company called that a huge conflict of interest.
In addition, it's not just what we've been able to do here within the United States.
Why do we have global private security firms that are operating in Beijing and Washington and Baghdad at the same time?
We're trying to, and we have, in fact, made a lot of progress internationally.
Remember John Brennan's Global Strategies Group?
Global Strategies Group, for example, is registered in Luxembourg, not in England. There are subsidiaries of subsidiaries. Some of these companies are spun out, go public, go private again. It's kind of hard to keep track of them.
This is where the Analysis Corporation, Global Strategies Group, Jones Group International, Dianology, the Atlantic Council, WikiStrat, CrowdStrike, and many, many other shell corporations of the same cabal of contractors are in the process of subverting governments worldwide, including the United States. All in an attempt to create a world government controlled by a handful of secret private companies exploiting their government contracts through blackmail, extortion, and any means necessary to acquire raw power. Some of you might be wondering, how do we know Millie's sources are not reality hackers and part of the PSYOP? That's the point. I'm not telling you who to trust or what to believe. I'm going to lay out the blueprints, which will help you discern perceived reality from actual reality and how to identify reality hackers and compromised individuals. I'm also not going to point fingers at who the hacks are for strategic reasons, but know they are in every industry, political party, and all political movements, no matter how great or small. What I will do is give you the tools and information that will show you how to spot a hack.
Telecom companies and tech companies like AT&T are working in a critical way to keep the internet up and running, literally keeping people connected. Let me bring in Chairman and CEO of AT&T, Randall Stevenson. AT&T is the owner of this network, CNN.
Until next time. So here's our pantry. This is just what we have available in our pantry, but we've got boxes that we have stockpiled, especially of the X2, the iodine, because sometimes the supply will waver on that and we don't want to miss out on having lots of iodine available for our family. But we got the Secret 12 here. I've got my Super Female Vitality. The Brain Force Plus. Myco CX is a great cleanse to do. It can help cleanse your body from like candida, any yeast. The Gut Fusion is amazing. It's a great fiber supplement. We've got the Real Red Pill. Amazing product right there. Just help your brain enhance itself and really focus. The Carnivore Digestive Enzymes. Ultimate 12. Some of these are even the older versions. But we have the Ultra 12, the B12. We've got Knockout over here. Look, it's almost gone, okay? I'm not kidding. This is what we take. I think we might only have a couple. Look at this. We got 3 pills left. We need to order some more Knockout, definitely. Get that good sleep. I tell you, if you take Knockout, you will have some of the best sleep and the most vivid dreams. It's amazing. We have Vitamin Mineral Fusion, which is a tasty drink. I give this stuff to my kids even. They love it. Get those vitamins in when sometimes maybe you don't like swallowing pills, or you're picky about pills, or you don't like those nasty llama pills. This has a great flavor, and it's a way to get those vitamins and minerals in your body that your body needs. But I've got the Flora Life, the Advanced Restorative Probiotics. Man, if I'm ever having stomach problems, I take this, and it just heals my gut. You know, sometimes being out on the road traveling, you can't always pick the best food. Sometimes fast food and other yucky foods are the only thing available, and this Flora Life is a lifesaver. I take the Chill Force to chill out after a stressful day. It's amazing. It just helps you relax, and we kind of joke around, hey, take a chill pill. Why don't you take a chill pill? Take advantage of some of the great products that InfoWars has. Me and my family, we take the products. I wouldn't recommend anything to you that I didn't also take myself and give to my family.